All right, y'all. It is 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And welcome everyone to Finances and Budgeting in Recovery. This workshop is being recorded and will be available to you on Workit's Facebook page and YouTube page. And if you signed up via Zoom, you will be sent a recording as well directly to your email. At any time during the workshop, if you have a question, you can use the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen, or you can put the question in chat and I will be sure to grab it. Now, my name is Max Backer and I am your community manager here at Workit Health, and I am your host for today's workshop. I'm delighted to introduce to you my panelists for today. Reon Dawson is a counselor for Workit. He has a passion for helping others. You may know Mr. Dawson from his support group, Thriving Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time here at Workit. And he says, if you learn just one of the many things shared today, we will have done our job. And I'd also like to introduce you to Ceola Johnson. Ceola Johnson is a care specialist on our Access and Response Direct Care team. She loves being a part of the financial world of things. Saving and budgeting is her passion, as she came from financial hardships in her personal life that helped her regain stability again. She says, I look forward to sharing my tips to help others. All right, so this is our amazing panelists for today, and you may be asking yourself, why finances and budgeting in recovery? How did I get here? Why am I here? Well, first of all, Reon and I were just sharing our disbelief that Thanksgiving is next week, and that actually kicks off the holiday season officially. And during this season, well, finances can be a loaded term. And so this is to help with stress around finances and the holidays that are coming up. But, you know, when we're in recovery, and I myself am 5 years in recovery, you know, we often carry shame around our finances, you know, about how much we have, about how much we don't have, about how much we spent in active addiction. And some of us might be dealing with our finances kind of for the first time. And often we have so many things to repair in recovery, and it can sometimes feel like finances are the last thing you want to deal with. At least I'm guilty of that. And so that's why it's important today to take what you can. Take what you can and leave the rest. We suggest that everyone grab a notebook or open a Word document, whatever you choose, to take down some notes or write down some questions as we go. And for me personally, the topic of finances has been one that I have been completely avoiding. I keep telling myself that I will fix my finances in like year 6 or year 7 or year 8 of my recovery. It's very daunting. But I know now to focus on smaller things. Instead of telling myself I need to fix all of my finances, I tend to tell myself small things like you need to get on some of those apps, and you need to start looking at your student loans, taking it bit by bit. And so with that, let's even out the playing field by going over some key terms that we could all use a refresher for. Ceola, I hand to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So just some key terms we're going to talk about. First thing is debt. A lot of people want to know what debt is. So debt is money you borrow that gets repaid over time, usually with interest and fees added. Expense, this is a cost in your budget. It's money that must be deducted from your income. And then budget has its own actual definition as well, which is an overview of your income and expenses over a set period of time, usually monthly and yearly. Reon?
Good afternoon, everybody. Credit report. So Credit report is a snapshot of your credit history that creditors and lenders use to access your ability to repay loans and lines of credit. Is short-term and long-term goals. So these two go hand in hand, right? So we just defined a short-term goal, anything 6 months or less. So anything 6 months or less would be considered a short-term goal, and that's for things like, you know, dates, cell phones, mini vacations, or anything that you would consider something that you can say within that 6 month period that you would want to do. And then long-term goals is 6 months or longer. And then the examples that we have for this is a house, car, college fund, vacation, or anything long-term that you want to save for and put in a pot to further adventure or advance your life.
All right, so creating an emergency fund. Emergency funds is something that, from a personal experience, like I mentioned, Max mentioned in the overview for myself, is having money put up in case of an emergency. If like a change of life happens, like loss of job, in which took place for me, it took me about 3 months to get back on my feet. And so having an emergency fund is something that's very important. And usually I recommend saving a percentage of your earnings. So if it's monthly, biweekly, however you get earnings in a month, I will always recommend like a percentage. So you can start small with that, saving at little as 10% of those earnings every month. That will go into an account that you would not use. And any event, if an emergency happened, flat tires, or you're out of work for quite some time, you can utilize those funds to kind of help you maintain yourself until you're able to get continuing income. So you want to always take your monthly income minus your monthly expenses, and that will be what you will put into your savings account. And I know a lot of people usually try to decide, what if I can't save for this particular month? Then that's okay, because there's going to be times where you can't put anything aside because of the current expenses, but always try to take your expenses, write them out, because that's the best way you can see things. If you write everything out, I know it's a digital world as well, so you can use a document or even plug in information into these accessible sheets we'll talk about later. But you want to write everything that you have to pay out on a monthly basis. And then you take your income, what you get for that month, and you see if you're able to set anything aside from that. And then if you can, then like I say, usually try to do 10%. But if it's not even 10%, some type of percentage. I mean, if you can do more, that's even better. Eliminating expenses you can go without. These are some things like, maybe this month you may want to treat yourself. Like me, I love to shop. So I may have to sit out shopping, this particular month or quarter, depending on how I'm trying to save or what I'm saving for. It can be a numerous of things. So it's really at whatever your leisure is that you want to utilize. With being able to eliminate expenses you can go without. Of course, we need food and housing and things like that. But if it's eating out versus cooking, you want to cook versus eating out, that will save you money. Another thing is obtaining a free credit report. Everyone is entitled to a free credit report annually, and that's done through the annual credit report website. And you'll just go in and retrieve your credit reports. You do have to make sure that you're able to download or print at that time before you go into the next credit bureau, because I know for certain you won't be able to go back to retrieve that report, because it only allows access that one time. Reon, I think this is where you will kind of step in on the secured cards. Okay, I'll continue. I think
I think Reon is just muted. Are you able to unmute?
I am muted, sorry.
No worries.
Okay,
no
so
worries.
Utilize secured cards to help you control your spending. So This is more so like, say you have a credit card, right? And I just talked to Max about this before we started. Like, say you have a credit card and you know you about to use it, right? So your next thought, your next thought should be, okay, the next free money that I get, meaning it doesn't go to bills or anything, I'm gonna use that to put on a credit card. And by doing that, one, that will prevent debt buildup, and two, that will sort of incorporate discipline in your life to say, okay, this money I have to get, I can't use it because I'm putting it towards a bill or something that or your credit. Um so the next one is creating a budget. Ms. Johnson, I think you would like to, I'll do the rest after that, but I think creating a budget is something that you talked about the most.
Yes. So creating a budget is basically you take in a certain amount of money and doing everything with that certain amount of money and not exceeding that amount. So usually, we'll talk about myself, just personally. I would take all of my expenses for the month and add in things that I may want to do um, to include as an expense, because when you're spending, that's an expense. Um, and then I may say, okay, for this month, I have $500 to, uh, do anything extra for myself or for the house or anything like that. And if I notice things for my house exceeds that budget or for myself, then I just try to stay within that. So basically, you just want to come up with a figure. And what helps you create that figure is make sure you always include your bills, because I know we say expenses, and expenses can mean a numerous of things. So just make sure that what you have to pay monthly, rent, mortgage, electric, any utility bills, all of that is, tallied up. You have a certain number, which include those numbers, and you want to be able to pay everything out of that budget, because the budget is just a number that keeps you disciplined in making sure that you don't exceed. It's not that you don't have that money outside of, let's say, the $500 budget that you have in place. It just basically helps you maintain, like, okay, I only have $500, so everything that I'm willing to pay has to come out of this $500. If it's exceeding that, then I need to reevaluate how to do so. And creating a budget, you can use, I know, like Excel for those that are technology savvy. The Excel spreadsheets, if you just type in new document, when you're clicking new and you type in budget, it'll come up with all type of budget expense sheets. You can Google search budget sheets. They have free templates that you can download, so it don't cost anything, or you don't have to sign up for an account. They have apps if you have an Android or Apple device. Apple device uses App Store, so you can type in budget planner. It'll create that. If you have any bank accounts, they usually inside of the banking apps have budget friendly tools. So you can use those tools as well, as just to give you kind of like an overview of different budgeting tools that you can use. And it's self-explanatory in all of them. I kind of checked them all out even last night, just looking for new ones for the upcoming year. So there are some very neat, cool ones. If you're into printing stuff out, it'll even show you what you utilize in that month's time, or you can set it up and how you want to overview your budget just to make sure you're within it. They even have alert notifications to let you know you possibly is outside of the budget too. So that's just some things about budgeting.
So the next one is focus on deals, bargains, and sales, and free award programs. So oftentimes when we go shopping, there's things like buy one get one. There's buy 10 get 10 for $1, things of that nature, right? And oftentimes when we go shopping, we don't focus on that. We just focus on what we need, get in and get out. But instead, trying to focus on where you can save money, I think, is the best option, especially for deals like when you grocery shopping or even clothes shopping as well. I know Ms. Johnson said she liked to clothes shop. So I definitely think that by, having deals that'll make you even want to shop more because you're saving money, and that's what it's all about, right? We're trying to understand that saving money, is a thing that is a tool that you can use so you can do other things where you can save for, a house or those long-term goals or even short-term goals as well. So bargain sales, free deals, and free reward programs. So oftentimes these apps that we use, when you go get a coffee or from Dunkin' Donuts, for example, they'll say, oh, let me scan your phone so I can get the points. And then, you do that 7 times, you get your fourth coffee free, but you wouldn't know that if you rushing or you don't even know about it. So oftentimes just look into deals and free bargains that you can get. And that's another way that you can save money as well, on things that you enjoy outside of the bills that you got to pay daily. The next one is paying off debt as you can. So paying off debt, we all have some form of debt, whether that's car loans, student loans, house, whatever the debt may be. Credit cards is another big one. So whatever debt you have, just start making payments on them. Far as like how to, so you will take your smallest debt and try to pay that off first, because as your bigger debt, one, you will be overwhelmed, and two, it'll take a longer time to pay it off. But by paying off the smaller debts, what you can realize is that, okay, I haven't paid off my student loans yet, but I have paid off a certain amount of debts that help me on my way up to my bigger debt. And by doing that as well, your credit score will increase because you are paying those debts off, which is very important. The next one is call your credit provider. So that's one thing that you can do, and you can see if you can get lower interest rates just by calling and having a conversation and talking about different things that they have that we haven't even tapped into yet. Most people don't know about it, and that's another reason why you call, because oftentimes people don't know, and as we know, people without information, they don't get the deals and stuff that they would need. So definitely call your credit provider and see if you can apply for lowest interest rates. Are there any deals or anything that they have as well that will help you as the customer, and because they do want to keep you as a customer, so they'll do whatever it is to try to keep you. And providing deals is a way to do that as well. The next one is, as far as debts and stuff go, making extra payments where you can. So this one is very important because oftentimes we do say, okay, I'm gonna pay my debt, but we have money, just loose and within, our budgets or whatever that we can use or put towards paying something off. So for example, if you put an extra $50 on, a debt, it can get paid off quicker. And then also too, when you do that, you're not only paying it off quicker, you're also increasing your credit score as well, as I mentioned before in the other one. And also by doing that too, when you're done paying off a debt, this is very important. When you're done paying off a debt, move that extra $100 or whatever you was using to another debt, so you won't even see the movement, but it's still paying off something. It's paying off the next thing, because that $100 do come back to you. You will say, okay, I'm gonna put this is free money now, instead of saying, no, I'm gonna use this now. My car is paid off. I'm gonna put the extra $100 towards the house, so that will be paid off quicker. And just by doing that, you won't even see the money anyway. And just by doing that, it'll help you pay off debt quicker and sooner as well. So then the last one is having an emergency fund along with a savings account. And this is very important as well, because an emergency fund is for things like when my car, need brakes, or I need, a bill, that unexpected bill came and I need money for that. Those are what sort of emergency funds things are for. And then long-term savings account, or a savings account in general, that's different, because oftentimes when you do have a long-term savings account, you may have to dip into that as your own emergency fund. But building an emergency fund is important because that's what it's there for. So you don't want to dip into your savings account when you have an emergency. Instead of just making an account for it, one, you'll feel better because you're like, okay, this is what it's for. So this is why I got to use it. And also two, you don't want to touch your savings account because that's what it's for. It's savings. You don't want to touch it. And you do feel, I guess you do feel bad when you do got to dip into your savings, and that's why it's important to have an emergency fund, because that's what it's there for. I just think that is important because oftentimes when you dip into that savings account, it doesn't feel good because you're saving for something. And when you take away from that, you often feel like you got to put it back or you got to catch up. Whereas if you have an emergency fund, you're like, oh, that's what it's there for. You're able to continue to do whatever you need to do. So.
I love that. And all of this is so, so good. Ceola, you mentioned something near and dear to my heart, the difference between making dinner at home and takeout. Takeout is one of my biggest luxuries that I afford myself. Why? Because I hate cooking. Well, just eliminating a couple takeouts a month, I'm saving money every time. And that's something I can do to start an emergency fund. And it also has forced me to learn a little bit more about cooking, which is great because when you're in recovery, you're always looking for new hobbies. So I'm so glad you pointed that one out. And then Reon, the importance of having that emergency fund. I have a savings account. I don't have an emergency account. And I just love the idea of making two separate accounts where one is savings. Like you said, you're saving for something. It's good. It's positive. It's going in the right direction. And then having this emergency fund for things like exactly like you said, like for an emergency car situation. I just had to replace my tie rods last month. Having that money there feels better to take from that than savings. And I love that. So, I suggest trying a couple of these things on this list if you're a little slow to start, and see what kind of money you can generate from just giving some of these things a try to start that emergency account. This is great. All right, so we've got a couple more tricks of the trade to give you, and one of them is insurance benefits. Now, what do we mean by that?
So with insurance benefits, believe it or not, a lot of the health insurance plans come with, I call it perks. So you're paying for the insurance plan to cover you for your medical expenses and things as such, prescriptions and medical equipment. And you don't know that a lot of resources is available through your insurance plan. So many them can be like over-the-counter items. Some plans, they include those incentives on a monthly basis, even food benefit cards. So what you'll do, you'll just look on the back of your insurance plan, get the customer service number, and you'll reach out and you'll ask about how to obtain those free services. Another thing can be like discount plans on your medications or medical equipment. A lot of pharmacies have medication discount cards at the pharmacy, but if you don't ask them, they're just going to give you your total price for your medicine or your medical equipment. But if you say, hey, do you guys have any discounts on these type of services, they usually have a manual coupon they have behind the register they can do, or you, again, before, going to the pharmacies, you can either check on their websites or you can contact customer service for your insurance plan. Another thing is resources in your local communities. A lot of the insurance plans partner up, like Medicaid, Medicare. An example for Florida residents, I know for certain. And if you're not even in Florida, just a general Google search for community resources in your area will help, or even accessing your insurance plan website and checking those hyperlinks out is usually listed there. I know Aunt Bertha is a resource network for Medicaid recipients that's in the state of Florida. And you can go through the Aunt Bertha resource network by just simply putting in your zip code, and then all of the resources will come up for food, for childcare, just some rental assistance, just some of the few to name. So it's always good to, check with your insurance plans for those perk benefits as well.
So would the first place to start for some folks, like if, for instance, they had Blue Cross Blue Shield, going on Blue Cross Blue Shield's website, kind of reading through that fine print that sometimes you just disregard, because I know how much knowing about your insurance plan is empowering. It's empowering for our members. It's empowering for us. Mm-hmm. So going on the website and kind of checking things out, calling them directly, kind of what's the first step there?
So a lot of people, let's say if you're technology where you love the website, because the websites, they just usually have like contact us, community outreach or something like that is usually listed. I recommend calling the insurance plans. For instance, for my father, he has Humana. So I know that he struggled with the need of having, always certain foods that he needed to eat. Well, to our surprise, when we actually reached out to Humana, they, advised us that as a Humana member for his particular plan, they'll send out a food card at the beginning of every month for a certain value amount, and he can go to Walmart or the local grocery stores and utilize those. And so we found that out just calling the customer service and just kind of letting them know our situation. They do have, just from my experience from working the backside of health plans as well, they do have a department designated for that. So all the members have to do is just express their interest into receiving services that is offered. Usually the agents that sign up members, they are aware of all of these extra incentives and perks. The disadvantage, like Reon mentioned, is they don't really advertise that for you. So if you don't know, then you're not going to know how to reach out to do that. And this alone, believe it or not, those $50 a month goes a long way for my father, because he can get the things that he eats, and it lasts on top of the other, community resources that they offer. They even send out trucks throughout the month to do like drop-offs for toiletry supplies and things like that. That's because that's that particular plan. Now, do all of the plans offer this? I can't really confirm that. That would be something you would definitely want to ask the plan providers, but they usually have something set up that's resourceful for the members as well, that can help go towards certain things. So that's definitely why we wanted to bring the insurance benefit part to it, because just simply calling the back of your insurance card number will take you a long way with additional resources.
It's really all about making that insurance plan work for you, and taking that time to make those calls and see what those perks are and utilizing them and saving money along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. One of my new future hobbies, I hope, utilizing coupons, remembering coupons that they exist. It brings me back to the 1980s growing up. My mom clipping, all the coupons out of the circulars and taking them in an envelope to the store. Of course, things have changed a little bit since then. Let's talk about coupons.
All right, so couponing. So when we get coupons in the mail, what do we often do with them? We look at them as a stack of them, we throw them in the trash, right? We throw them in the trash for many reasons. One, because of clutter, and two, because we don't want to read through them to try to find deals because it's too much work. Well, why not use them to save money instead, right? Oftentimes when we look at coupons, it could be a BOGO, which is buy one, get one for free. It's like, it can be buy one, get one, 10% off, 20% off. Oftentimes all these things that we're, not so accustomed to using will help us in our benefit, and it will benefit us in the saving money. Because that's what the ultimate goal is. And then also to understanding the coupon, right? Understanding what the coupon says and really just diving deep into, what it says and also how to use it. Because oftentimes, sometimes sometimes it's only in store, or sometimes you can use it online, just depending on what the coupon says, and they just apply whatever it says as well. And then just as Max said, it can be a new hobby, right? Oftentimes we get all these coupons, and if you really just dive deep into it and really, do your homework and figure out what stores you like, and also to use those coupons for those stores, you often will save money. And then you look up and it's a new hobby for you. It's something that you do on Sundays or Mondays or however often, you get those things in the mail. And even looking up surveys and coupons online. Couponing is also online as well. If you go to your, type in your favorite store, they'll have deals as well. You can print those off and cut those up and use those. Because, to this point of this slide, it's all about saving money. And that's what we're trying to, help you all do today. And these are just a couple of things, especially couponing. That's something that you can do. And also, too, Ms. Johnson mentioned, she told us a story. I don't know if she want to do it or me, about how people have $100, they bills are over $200 or $300, and they use their coupons and they end up spending, less than $10 to get all the food and try to help those people as well. And also too, when you do save money or when you do coupon, you can do it for somebody else in need, because sometimes, as we know, it is Thanksgiving time, and we, are to give thanks and do things of that nature. So just by couponing, you can save somebody else some money or give somebody else some extra groceries that you have, just by doing this and making this a hobby as well. And then lastly is apps. So I know we just talked about apps, but apps is good as well for when you do have couponing. So again, your favorite store, coffee, Dunkin' Donuts, Tim Hortons, whatever that is, you download it, and then they will have coupons on there that will help you. And Apple versus Android, though, they have different coupons on how to download those as well. Just look into that, and then when you do it, you'll be happy. Saving money will make you happy. So that's the last thing that I have to say about coupons and how powerful they are, you know, while saving money and doing things that you enjoy.
Yeah, I checked out a few apps for myself. One of them's called Honey, one's called Coopert, and they actually kind of consolidate the whole thing for you. And so if you're looking for something online, it'll show you where the best deals would be and how to get the most off. And, you know, hey, you know, I know we're going to talk about getting rid of some apps soon, but some of these apps really are useful and will help you save money. And yeah, so fantastic. All right, let's keep going. All right, so yes, cutting out apps. So we live in a very tech world with apps on our phones, apps on our iPads, apps on our MacBooks, apps on our PCs. And sometimes they're taking money and you don't know it. And sometimes you have too many and you don't need them. And so, Reon, what do you got to say about cutting out apps?
So, oftentimes we sign up for apps and we forget about them. And we know that that's that 30 days where you can cancel your subscription, but we don't do it, right? And they continue to take their money, whether it's $5 or $5.99, $6.99, $10.99, that adds up, right? And those are little things. You may say, no, that's not a big deal, but of course, over a course of a year, I mean, you know, 5 times 12 or 6 times 12, that's decent money that you could put towards your short-term goals, your long-term goals, a bill, a credit card, a car, a house, whatever the case may be. So I would just say take a deep dive into what you're paying for and look at those apps. So Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Peacock, Stars, any other app that you're using, even apps on TVs. Like oftentimes, you know, we have like Netflix or Hulu on our TV and we don't really use it. It's like, why are we paying for it? And that money could be used towards something else. So I would just recommend everybody really take a deep dive into like your finances and see what apps are you paying for? Are you using them? So ask yourself 2 questions. 1, what apps are you using or are you paying for like monthly? And then 2, how often do you use them? And 2, can you combine apps? So meaning like, can I watch what I want to watch on Hulu on Netflix? Then I won't need Hulu. And that again, that's another way of saving money. Or even asking a friend for their password. I know we probably shouldn't do that, but just by doing that, that would definitely save you money just by using theirs or try to figure that out as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, as long as we can continue to share accounts before Netflix and Hulu figures this all out.
Right.
Yeah, I've got HBO Max for negotiation when I need someone else's password. You know, it's a lifestyle now.
Yeah.
But this is real. I told you all before that, you know, I signed up for CBS Live so that I could watch the Super Bowl this past year. And watched the Super Bowl. It was great. And then completely forgot about it. And so CBS got my money for a good 6 months until I said, oh, I think I forgot to turn that one off. And so, and of course, had to go in deep into the CBS Live website to find that way to turn it off because they're getting trickier and trickier and they know. So yeah, just being aware of the apps that you have, about which ones you're spending money on and which ones you're not, and which ones can you live without. Do I need stars anymore? No, I don't. I don't. Absolutely. This is great. Okay. All right, next, we're going to take a gander at a budgeting walkthrough. I will go ahead and bring that up. Now, I will also say that, my goodness, there are tons of apps out there and tons of free sheets that you can get yourself hooked up with for any kind of budget that you want to do. There's budgets where you can look at your monthly expenses, your yearly expenses. There's budgets that will take you through an entire year. It's totally where you want to begin and your own kind of comfort with budgeting. So tell me about this budget, Ceola.
So this sheet is something that I use amongst myself and some ladies of my organization that I have. And quarterly savings goal is just basically we set goals each quarter on how much we're expected to save, in which we will put in the expected savings highlighted in yellow. And then at the end of that quarter, we will put in how much we actually saved. And so the honesty to this piece, how we maintain is we bring our statements in. We, of course, black out our personal account numbers and things like that. But we just share where we had to actually, maybe go in and out of our accounts to do things, to put things back. So this setting for me, as I explained to everyone when I do show this, is to basically give you some type of structure to self-discipline yourself in a good way. Because, from personal experience where me, I used to just freely give my money or spend my money, and then life happened one time, one time for me, and like one time meaning like at my lowest, like I didn't know where I was going to get my next dollar from to feed myself or to provide housing, which left me, have to sleep in a car, pay for hotels. And I think that was like the hardest thing to go through in life, because when I looked up for help, everyone has their own issues and circumstances that they have to go through. So it was a lot of no's there, but it was, to me, by God's grace, I was thankful for those no's because it disciplined me to be better now, to not have to go back down that road again, and to always stay prepared. So quarters are ran every 3 months. As you see, I put January to March. And so you'll go in and you'll basically set whatever you want for the quarters, right? Is it wrong if you don't miss it? No, this is no right or wrong document. It just at least shows that you're trying to attempt to save, or you're actually able to save exactly what you're expected to, and then you save at the end. I haven't had no one so far, including myself, to actually expect savings and match it with the actual savings. My goal this year, when I started next year, is to actually meet exactly what I write in, to do my very, very best. So I would love to share this with any of you. Hopefully it works, or you can pass it along to others to, try to help them. You can change it from quarterly. You can just go, if you want to do it monthly, if you want to do it weekly, because I remember not being a saver. So, sometimes it can be foreign, like, what, how am I going to save when all I do is spend? There's nothing left for me to save. But discipline, you will start to see, yes, you can save. Yes, you can put $5, $10 to the side. Yes, before you know it, you're saving hundreds to $1,000. So just, kind of want to just share this with you all. Hopefully it does some type of help, or just get you started in the mood of savings. And then before you know it, you'll be able to give your own testimony like I did, to share along with everyone else.
Absolutely. And you can use this for those short-term goals, those less than 6-month goals, as well as those long-term goals. And I really like thinking about money in quarters. We work in quarters, so I'm kind of already in that space. And so I really like that, hey, if you miss quarter one, you've got quarter two to make a comeback. And again, there are so many different types of budgeting things out there. For instance, this was just from a very quick Google search. You can see people all over the place are using it. This is a very kind of, let me get some more screen space for myself. This is a very much more complicated, but these things are free. And so use them. And I'll go ahead and put this in the chat for you. If you want to do it deeper, you can see here at the bottom where I'm scrolling down, you can do a deeper dive into your own finances. And this one is through Google Sheets, so the equivalent of Excel, and it'll actually do the math for you. And that just blows my mind. So that's also a resource that you can use. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat, as well as tell you there's also some great apps out there too. I've tried Mint. I tried one that yelled at me when I spent money. I've tried them all. So, all right. Now I want to get to some questions. And y'all, if you have a question for Reon or Ceola, Please go ahead and use chat or the Q&A function of your Zoom. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some that we already have and offer them to either of you. So this is a question I have myself. So credit cards, good or bad? Because I know I need them to build credit, but they can be very bad. Who's got a good answer for that one?
I can go first. So, I have a credit card as well. And for me, I use it when I don't have any money. Because I just use it as like another emergency fund, right? But the next thought, like I said before, the next thought of when I use my credit card, no matter how much it is, whether I go to the limit or I spend, $30 in gas, my next thought has to be to pay it off. Because if not, it builds up and then you think you can keep using it. And then you look up and you got $2,000 worth of credit card debt. So the next thought has to be to pay it off. And also by doing that too, you're increasing your credit score tremendously. So it takes discipline though. Like having a credit card is good and bad, like you just said at the same time, because you have an X amount of dollars that you can use, but you got to pay it back within a certain time frame or that next month or by that next month. And it takes discipline. So it's tricky, just like you said.
And just to add to that, now I, on the other hand, have more than one credit card, but it's a good thing. Don't worry. I believe in the utilization of what they have set is 30%, 33%. I can't remember the current utilization. So I use those for like my Netflix, okay, just to put activity on there. And just like Reon say, whatever I use it for, I automatically pay it back. I don't do the minimum payment because the minimum payment is just basically saying, oh, you want to pay interest on this. I don't want to give you no more money than I already need to pay back. So I just go ahead and, make that purchase amount back. So just some tips, maybe, of course, emergency basis, or if you want to utilize it just for like your small app purchases, just to put your activity on it to increase the credit. But once you get credit cards, you do have to put activity on it. So I know like I had to tell a couple of my friends, they was like, oh no, I got credit cards and that's it. What are you doing with your credit cards? Oh, I'm not using them. If I do, I just pay back the minimum. So I'm like, well, no, stay under the utilization limit. So don't go above the utilization, which means whatever your credit limit times about a 30%, and then only use that amount monthly. And then you can pay that back every month. Take away from the minimum payment because you're just basically allow them to charge you for using your credit card. And so that will help. But having just basic knowledge of that will help goes a long way because a lot of people don't understand like how creditors get over. Usually like in 6 months, you'll start getting other credit card offers. Don't be like me and start listening to them. But if you think you can do it, then of course it comes with discipline because trust me, they're gonna start putting those $6,500 limits before you name it. You're gonna be like, oh, I don't need my money, like my actual money, I can use credit. Well, then like Reon said, before you know it, you like, uh-oh, I'm in all this credit card debt. So that's the disadvantage is paying it on time is gonna be the perks is getting more credit limit increasing, but then now that's when more discipline has to kick in for you.
I think the buzzword here is discipline. I've heard it a couple times. Hey, we're all learning discipline in recovery.
Yeah, my financial coach taught me that word. I have to I'm going to tell everybody, just discipline yourself. I had to go through that, so.
I tell you face it a lot when it comes to recovery. So, you use those same skills that you use for recovery to really kind of take a look at your money issues and learn that discipline for some of us for the first time. Yeah, it's good though. So rewarding once you succeed or have a little success even. So for someone who's in recovery, who's feeling good, who's starting to go, all right, I'm ready to handle some debt. Is there a good place to start? Do you start with those big credit cards? Do you start with student loans if you have them? Do you start with those medical bills? Those are kind of the top 3 debts of American folks. So Where do you start when it comes to big heaping piles of debt?
Okay, I'll start. For me, what I would like to do is I wouldn't like to start big, because if you start big, you're too overwhelmed. If you have like a $3,000 credit card debt or any debt period, that's overwhelming, right? Or even more. I know some people who have like, loans and things of that nature, but just by paying off the smaller debts, I think one, you building your credit, and also two, you're working your way towards the bigger the bigger credit or the bigger credit card debt. And by doing that too, you're building your credit, and also you're paying off stuff. It's like little wins, and then when you finally have everything paid off, now you can focus on that big, student loans or what credit card or house or whatever you have. So that's just what I think. But some people may think differently, but I think that's the best way to go about it.
Just start small. Some things have different weight as far as a credit report goes, right? Credit cards with high interest rates are going to hurt your credit score more than a medical bill. Like there's different kind of weights to each debt, right? So maybe going for the most imminent threat is also a good plan too, if you're looking to start one, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also too, by starting small, like you're not overwhelmed. So if you got like $100, $100 worth of debt, or by paying that off by $25, I'm gonna put $25 here 4 times, it's paid off. Whereas if you have $100,000 debt, that's it's overwhelming. And then two, you're gonna try to spend and you still gotta live too. That's the other thing. So you have to have a balance of, okay, I want to live life, but also I want to be able to pay this debt off. So I think that's the perfect balance of trying to pay it off, also still living your life.
And just make sure that when you're reaching out to like your creditors to begin making payments, talk about consolidation. Believe it or not, consolidation helps. Where they even may want to settle debt, where you may have left a $900 and some balance, but they may want to settle out for $600 and something dollars, and then you can do installment payments and have it paid off in no time. So now you went from, okay, $900 and some to $600 and something, then you can pay that in installments, and then they'll give you a good letter of faith. The account will be considered paid off, and then they'll have to report back to the credit bureau with the account status update, which you have to maintain that, because these creditors, they will not actually report you back. You have to stay on top of them. Just like when you pull your credit report, pay attention to the details, the name spelling. Those have to match those credit profiles to the T. If not, there's a lot of laws and forms and things like that you have to send to each credit bureau. They have to respond back in a certain time to correct it, or that begins to be removed, and now more points are coming up, and then you shouldn't see that on your credit report too, because some things we don't even know that's in our credit. I know I was identity victim, so I had a lot of things on my credit like, well, I've never stayed in California. I'm, been in the South for long. Where did this come from? My identity was stolen. So a lot of things will help you out when you just starting small. Just make a to-do list. Don't overwhelm yourself. I know when you pull your credit report, you're probably gonna want to pull your hair, because you're gonna be like, I didn't know this was still sitting on my credit report. A lot of each time your file is traded to another creditor, it stays. I know they tell us 7 years. Like a lot of stuff we shouldn't still see, but our files are sold to more creditors, so it's going to stay on your account. So just stopping that alone will help. Just doing that little small work too.
Absolutely. Gosh, these are such great tips. Here's a good question came up. Should I save for myself or for both people in the household? So this is sure to come up for a lot of members who might be, married or partnered. What do I do if I want to save money, and let's say my partner has kind of a different viewpoint of saving, or, how much financial responsibility should you be taking there when it comes to finances?
In a shared household, I would say, that's kind of, to me, my recommendation, we're one, so I'm going to save as we're one. Not saying the other one is not a smart brainer, but we have to have a strong foundation somewhere set in the home. Okay, so if one of us is saving for the both of us, then as long as we're together, it's for the both of us. I know that I've met people that have a his and hers account together, my money, their money type of thing. So it really all depends. But if you're in it together, just thinking for the long run, especially with children, you want to save on a together mindset because wherever your debt goes, their debt is going to go as long as you guys are one. So, you don't want to be an all for self, like a greed thing. And it's like leaving everybody else out. Because believe it or not, it can be more harmful than anything when, you're thinking like that. But I know that financing as a whole, just as an advisor, it can be very difficult to kind of, give advice on, but just more so recommending if you're going to be as one, save as one. It's okay if you have multiple accounts. If your name is tied to one, your significant other name is tied to one, and then you guys got one together. Because remember, the ones together, you both have to make agreements on those. So at the end of the day, no one walks away empty-handed if you, thinking at it in that manner. But just having a purpose to save, find that purpose and why you're saving is something that I would just, recommend to everyone.
That is fantastic advice. Thank you. Here's a good one. How should we feel if we do not achieve our goals? As mentioned, kind of at the beginning of this workshop, when you're in recovery, some topics might feel like landmines, and for sure, work on your finances when you're feeling good and ready. And sometimes the reality is you're not going to save. Life happens and you're not going to miss some of the goals, whether they be small or big. And I think it's a lot about, not letting shame come in and do what shame does when it comes to finances. Because if you're in recovery, you're probably already getting rid of some shame that you've had. So what would y'all's best advice for maybe not reaching your goals or getting frustrated, or while you're in recovery trying to fix some of these things? And sometimes it might bring up shame. What do y'all think about that?
Personally, everybody just know that every day is an effort to do better than yesterday. So you have to feed yourself positive affirmations. Just from personal experience, coming from self-doubt, not believing in myself, didn't think I would be where I'm at today. Because all I did was dwell on the negative things. And when I turned that around and starting putting my best foot forward, saying, okay, I didn't do good yesterday because like I'm on this whole transitional thing about me eating right now. So it's like it's up and down. But I know my health is very important. But I know that each day that I wake up, as long as I'm better than my yesterday, that's all matter to me. So that's the same thing you want to look at financially. Hey, I didn't save money yesterday. I actually spent a lot of money yesterday, or last month or last week or whatever your goals are at. But, effort, I'm going to do better. I'm going to speak that positivity mindset into myself that it may not be a lot of money that I'm saving. It may not be any money that I save, but trying and knowing that my mindset is on to do better, that's good enough for me, and let that be good enough for you.
Yeah, I would to add to that, you may miss your goal, but say you in a month your goal is to save $1,000, right? Or let's do $500. Say your goal is to save $500, right? And you miss your goal, you save 300. The fact that you save 300 just lets you know like you can do this. And yes, you miss your mark, but that means you could try harder, like Ms. Johnson said, like the next time, right? So it's not about if I miss my mark, how should I feel or whatever. It's like long as I save something that month, that's all that I can do because maybe an emergency came up and that's why you got the emergency fund and the different things like that. So I think by saving something that by saving something to your ultimate goal, I think that's something that you should be proud of, and also too, it gives you motivation to keep going.
Y'all, that was so beautifully said. And I think it's also a great space to end. And I want to first put in the link for, again, that free Google Sheet personal budget in the chat. We'll also include that within the links when we upload this video. So if you're watching later, that'll be available to you. If you liked Ceola's very own budgeting sheet, simply throw me an email at community@workithealth.com and I will get that over to you. Another thing I wanted to say was we crammed a lot in an hour. When we were prepping for this, there was so many other things we could have gone, and we really look forward to bringing more workshops about finances and budgeting to the lineup of groups here at support at Workit Health. And if you liked this workshop and you would like to see more like this, again, please give me a shout out at community@Workit Health, and I'll go ahead and put that in the chat as well. And I wanted to extend a special thank you to Reon and Ceola for sharing your expertise, your wisdom, and your gifts. Again, Reon's got an amazing support group, 6 p.m., Thriving Thursdays. It's a great space, and Ceola is here at Workit in the back, working magic and working with our members. And so these are two faces that hopefully you'll see more of here at Workit. And on behalf of everyone here at Workit, thank you for attending our workshop on finances and budgeting. Definitely stay tuned, like I said, for more workshops like this. We know that this in particular is a huge topic, so we would love to do more. Again, feedback send to community@workithealth.com. And if you have a question that comes up while you're watching this recording or comes up later, shoot me an email and I will get Reon and Ceola to answer those for you. And thank you again, Reon, Ceola, and to our members, have a wonderful rest of your day and see you soon.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.